Everything you've been told about sleep might be backwards. For decades, doctors told us 8 hours is the gold standard. Get less, and you're gambling with your health. But when researchers actually tracked what happens to people over 60, the 8-hour sleepers weren't the ones living longest. The 7-hour sleepers were. Not by a little. In some studies, older adults sleeping more than 8 hours a night had a noticeably higher risk of dying early than those sleeping 7, even higher than people who slept less than recommended. In this video, I'm going to show you what the research actually found, why more sleep isn't automatically better once you're past 60, and exactly what to do with this information, because the answer isn't sleep less. It's more interesting than that. Here's the thing. Most of the 8 hours a night advice we all grew up with was based on research done mostly on working-age adults. But your sleep architecture changes as you age. The deep, restorative stages get shorter, and how your body regulates sleep shifts too. So it makes sense that what's optimal might shift as well. And it has. A large systematic review pooling data from nearly 30 studies on older adults found that sleeping more than 8 hours a night was linked to roughly a 33% higher risk of death compared to sleeping 7 to 8 hours. That's not a small effect. If you're someone who cares about aging well, not just living longer, but staying sharp and independent, this is worth 5 minutes of your time. And if you find this kind of evidence-based breakdown useful, there's a lot more like it on this channel. The key point: sleep and mortality risk don't follow a simple more is better pattern. They follow a U-shape. Picture a graph. On one end, people sleeping less than 6 hours a night have a higher risk of dying early. That part isn't surprising. Chronic short sleep has been linked to heart disease, high blood pressure, and weaker immune function for years. But go to the other end of that graph, and the line climbs again. People sleeping 9, 10, or more hours a night also show higher mortality risk, and in several studies, that risk shows up more strongly in adults over 60 than in younger people. Real-world example. One large cohort study following American adults found that long sleep, 9 hours or more, was associated with about a 28% higher risk of death from any cause. And researchers noted the association with prolonged sleep was particularly pronounced in older participants. Meanwhile, the lowest risk consistently clustered right around 7 hours. Takeaway you can use this week. If you've noticed yourself needing more and more sleep to feel rested, not because of a busy week, but as a new pattern that's worth mentioning to your doctor, it's a signal worth paying attention to, not a reason to panic. This is the part almost nobody explains, and it matters a lot. Researchers don't think sleeping 9 hours causes early death for most people. What's more likely is what scientists call reverse causation, meaning an underlying health issue causes both the extra sleep and the higher mortality risk, rather than the sleep itself being the culprit. Conditions like depression, chronic inflammation, early-stage heart disease, or undiagnosed sleep disorders like sleep apnea can all quietly increase how much a person sleeps, long before other symptoms show up. So the honest takeaway isn't avoid sleeping too much. It's pay attention to changes. If your normal sleep is 7 to 8 hours and stays there, research suggests that's a healthy range. If it drifts noticeably longer over weeks or months without an obvious reason, travel, illness, a rough patch, that shift is worth flagging to a doctor because it may be an early signal rather than a cause. Here's a detail that gets lost in the how many hours conversation. Several studies point to sleep quality and consistency mattering as much as, or more than, total duration, especially for older adults. Things linked to better outcomes in the research: falling asleep within about 15 to 20 minutes, waking up rarely during the night, And importantly, going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends. Irregular sleep schedules have been associated with worse health outcomes independent of how many total hours someone sleeps. 2 things you can actually apply this week. First, try anchoring your wake-up time, same time every day, weekends included, since that's often the more powerful lever than chasing a specific number of hours. Second, get natural light within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking. Morning light exposure is one of the most well-supported ways to help regulate your body's internal clock, which in turn affects sleep quality. To be clear about what this research does not mean, it doesn't mean you should set an alarm to cut your sleep short if you naturally sleep 8 hours and feel great. Individual needs vary, and research findings about population averages don't override how your own body responds. What it does mean is that "I sleep a lot, and that must be healthy" isn't automatically true after 60, and a noticeable, sustained increase in how much you're sleeping is a reasonable thing to bring up at your next checkup, alongside any other changes in energy, mood, or memory. So, 3 things to take with you. Sleep and mortality risk follow a U-shape, not a straight line. And for older adults, the too much side of that curve matters more than most people realize. Second, more sleep isn't automatically healthier sometimes. It's an early signal, not a cause. So changes matter more than the raw number. And third, consistency and morning light are 2 of the most well-supported levers you actually control, regardless of which side of 7 or 8 hours you land on. Pick just one thing to start this week. Set your alarm for the same wake-up time every single day, including weekends, and get outside for a few minutes right after. If you found this useful, you'll want to watch The Real Reason Deep Sleep Disappears After 60. Next, I'll link it on screen now. If this kind of evidence-based content is useful to you, subscribing means you'll get a new video every Tuesday and Friday. I hope this leaves you a little more curious about your own sleep than you were 10 minutes ago. Everything in this video is for educational purposes only. Please speak with your doctor before making any changes to your health routine.